Everybody, and in this lecture we're going to talk about annotating. So one of your first assignments involves annotating. You're annotating a reading, right? So it's important that you know when and how to annotate for our class. So first of all, supplies. You should have something to write with, so that can be a pen or a pencil. You should also have something that you can highlight with. So that can be a highlighter, or if you don't have highlighters, you can use like a colored, different colored pens to underline in different colors, or I've used crayons in a pinch before, colored pencils, whatever you have. You also need a copy of whatever you're reading. A printed copy or an online copy works. And if you do have an online copy, you should get an app or some kind of a program to annotate online. When should you be annotating? All the time. So anytime you're reading a text for our class, including articles, stories, prompts, assignment directions, always just get in the habit of picking something up to write with and kind of marking that up as you go. So some reasons that we annotate. First of all, it helps you to better understand a text. It will also help you better understand directions and important parts of assignments if you're able to, underline, circle, make a star next to different things. Annotating also helps you remind yourself what you thought about the text at the time you read it. So there are lots of times in college where you might be reading something on one day and then you don't get to class to discuss that, for several more days. And in the meantime, you're still reading other things, talking to your friends, watching TV, going to work. So you don't want to forget what you thought about that particular article. So annotating helps you to remember that because you're going to be leaving yourself notes or highlighting important bits and things like that. Annotating also helps you prepare for writing about things that you have read and definitely helps you prepare for assignments. So some things that you should look for when you annotate: definitely look for important moments in the text, new or surprising ideas, things that you agree with, things that you disagree with, words you don't know, main ideas, and important information that you can use in your assignment. So maybe you're pulling, a quote for an assignment. Maybe you find a word that you didn't know, and so you look it up and you write the definition in the margins. Maybe you write about where you agree or disagree with the text. So there are lots of different ways to annotate. What does annotating look like? Well, it's different for everybody, but generally it involves all or some of these things, and maybe you have ways of annotating that are even a little bit different. So highlighting, writing in the margins, noting questions or comments that you have, underlining important words, defining new words, circling, starring, or otherwise marking important things in the text. So I've got some examples here. You might have, a combination of these, or you might like, one of these methods, but annotating again can look different. It looks kind of messy, but that shows me that you're interacting with this text and you're using the text to make some meaning, right? Rather than just reading it and then getting to the end of the page and wondering, what did I just read? When you're interacting with the text like this, you're leaving yourself notes. Maybe you have a color scheme for, blue is something that I agree with and red is something that I disagree with, or something like that. So there's lots of different ways to annotate. I've also given you guys a few example annotation guides. So you can use an annotation guide if annotating is new to you. So I've given you a couple of examples here. For example, this one has a star next to important ideas, underlining keywords or details, circling unfamiliar words, using an exclamation mark next to an interesting detail, a question mark to signify a question that I have, and a arrow for a connection that I've made. You can also, use different annotation guides, like this one's slightly different, or you can use colors. So for instance, this one, questions would be highlighted in orange, a vocabulary word, or maybe a word you don't know might be highlighted in pink, connections might be blue. So just find a way of annotating that makes sense for you and then use that and adapt it as you go. All right, so that is our very quick guide to annotating. Again, we're going to be doing this throughout class, so try and find a way of annotating that works for you. And if you get stuck or you need additional help, our tutorial center is a good place to ask. You can also ask in your groups, and then you can also see me during office hours or send me a text if you're stuck and you need some extra help.